Hi guys, this is Nathan with No More Popcorn. I wanted to talk tonight about a movie that absolutely changed my life. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, it sounds clickbaity, but I am absolutely being honest with you. This movie, Americano, by a uh, director nobody knows about named Kevin Noland. Not Kevin Nolan, Kevin Noland. This is from 2005, and it is a indie movie. It's a movie about a group of friends traveling to Spain to the San Fermin Festival, the Running of the Bulls. Uh, I first saw this movie. I'm gonna say it was probably 2009. I just caught it randomly on. It must have been Showtime, I think, some one of those channels, and I just caught it at the beginning, and I just immediately got sucked into this movie. Now, at the time, I was in a very bad place in my life. My father had died in 2007, and I still was kind of stuck in that depressive state. Things were going pretty badly for me. And I saw this movie, and it just absolutely captured my imagination. Uh, it perfectly encapsulates the idea of um, getting out of your comfort zone, getting out there and actually doing something. It doesn't have to be, and I don't mean doing something with your life. I don't mean like pull yourself up by your bootstraps and work hard and you'll get it. No, it's about just going out there and doing the thing you don't want to do, doing the thing that scares you. I mean, that's literally the motto of this movie. It's right on the front, do what scares you. And it's kind of my own personal, it's one of my guiding principles. I try to live by this. Um, so I first watched this 2009, and let's go into what's the movie's about, and then I'll go to that part. So these friends are in Spain. They're there for running the bulls. The cool thing is they actually run with the bulls. You've got Joshua Jackson, and the guy that plays his friend is this guy named Tim Sharp. Really great actors. Joshua Jackson you might recognize from Mighty Ducks, one of my childhood favorites. So Joshua Jackson, his two friends, and his friend played by Tim Sharp is dating Ruthanna Harper, Dennis Harper's daughter, and they're at the Running the Bulls. They actually they talk about in the extras they ran with the Bulls 3 times to get the different shots they did, and they are right in the thick of it. You'll see the cameraman's running with them, and you'll see them running next to the Bulls running by them. And at one point, Joshua Jackson even reaches out and slaps the bull. You know, they mention it. I slapped the bull. You know, they're high fiving at the end. You know, they did it for real, which is really cool. And then they go to a bullfight, and you know, it's one that's one of those things. It's very controversial. Even in Spain, there are people trying to outlaw bullfighting, and they do address it in the movie. Like they show it. It's very graphic detail. You see the spears going into the bull, and you see the blood spurting, and you see a real bullfight, and they do address it. You know, the Joshua Jackson himself is kind of hesitant about it, but along the way he meets Adela, the character Adela, who's played by the absolutely gorgeous Lenore Varela, and she kind of becomes their local guide. She's the one that gets them tickets to the bullfighting, and she takes them out to a restaurant and gets them. I mean, she's trying to screw with them. She intentionally buys them bull tongue and bull testicle, and I forget what they call it. It's like bull spine, like bull tail. Yeah, and then they also go to this bar called Bar Americano, which is run by Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper is this sort of crazy American expat character who's, and this actually, I think this time watching it, this is the first time I've watched it in a couple years. Dennis Hopper's almost a god kind of figure in this. He like not like capital G God, but more of the, let's say, uh, mythology kind of god figure. The god figure that comes down and disguises himself as a human to try to guide someone down a certain path. He's in this bar at one point, Joshua Jackson. He just had his stuff stolen, which is pretty accurate when you're in Spain. Which something happened to me. He's kind of down, and he's in there at one point, and the guy working for Dennis Hopper grabs Joshua Jackson's notebook, and in the notebook he's got all these drawings and poetry, and he's got all these pictures he's taken of his travels. Guy steals his book. He goes downstairs, and the guy pushes Joshua Jackson down this fucking slide, and he goes down into Dennis Hopper's office, and Dennis Hopper is just sitting at this desk. There's like a skull on the desk, and there's some apples, and there's all this weird shit in there. And Joshua Jackson's like, "Can I have my book, please?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever." And Dennis Hopper at one point, he picks up this mask off the table and he throws it at Joshua Jackson, and he says, "Put this on." Joshua Jackson's like, "Okay." He puts this goofy mask on, and immediately Dennis Hopper says, "Do you always do what people tell you to do?" That's kind of the theme of the whole movie. Joshua Jackson, they're on their last 3 days of they've had a month-long vacation. They've been traveling through Europe. They're ending it at the Running the Bulls. And he's got this corporate job waiting for him. He's all set up. He's got the corporate car, and he's got all these benefits, and he keeps getting messages sent like, "Oh, this is going to be great." He's got his friends back home saying, "Dude, you got to get here. This is where the action's at." But he's in Spain, and I have to tell you, Spain is a special place, and anybody that spent some time there can tell you it's got a different feel to it. So he's kind of torn, and then he meets Adela, who is like, she's also almost like this mythical creature. It's like there's just this instant attraction between them, and this is a part, like, I don't typically like romantic movies. I think they're so over, like, they're overboiled, they're overdone. Romantic comedies, they just go over and over, like, back and forth. Oh, we've fallen in love, but then the guy does this stupid thing, and he's got to get her back. What is he gonna do? His friends are saying this, and his heart's saying that, and they're usually also generally have a feminist bent on how relationship should go and what the man should do to get the woman back. This movie, the romantic aspect of it is kind of the core of it, but it's really all about that initial attraction and passion. And let's all be honest, those are the things about relationships that anybody can look back on and go, yeah, those were the best parts. The initial attraction and the passion. I have to say, this movie has one of probably the best sex scene you'll ever see. And it's not explicit. It's done so well. And just, you feel the passion in it. And I rarely see that. Usually sex scenes I find to be cringy and weird. And people just kiss, they smash their faces together, and then there's like dry humping, and it just, I never feel that sex scenes really work well. This is the one good one. If you're into romantic stuff, you really got to see this. If you're into travel movies, you have to see this. So how do I come into this? What did this change with me? There's a part in this movie where Adela is talking to Joshua Jackson. He's got this struggle with, he doesn't want to leave Spain. He doesn't want to go back to work. He wants to stay, and she's he's like, I see this symbol everywhere. What is this? And it's the it's a symbol of the Camino de Santiago. I pause it so I could show you this. You could see the scallop shell. So this right here. Let me turn it over. So yeah, you can see my real name, Nathan Albert Eckel. I'm not scared. This is a pilgrim's passport. You walk the Camino de Santiago, which is it's about a 500-mile pilgrimage route across Spain. She tells him about this pilgrimage route. She talks about how her father did it and it changed his life. It sent him down a new path. And that's what he starts thinking about. And that was where I first learned about the Camino de Santiago. This frame's falling apart. This is the passport they give you when you stop at the hostels for the pilgrims. They will stamp your passport. So in 2011, let me check the date just to be sure. Yeah, started in Pamplona, October 8th, 2011. So I started in September at some point. I'd have to go back to figure out exactly when I started. But I ended October 8th, 2011. And it was all from learning about it from this movie. This movie instills a sense of wanting to get out there and do something new. Get out there and do the thing outside of what you think your character is. And I walked the Camino de Santiago, and that pilgrimage really set up my life and kind of took me out of a bad place. It gave me the kind of confidence I needed to kind of take a step forward and do the kind of things I'm doing now, like podcasts and these things. Like I wouldn't have been able to do things like this, back in 2008. Impossible. In my opinion, life's a journey of improvement. If you're not reaching further, you're going backwards, and you've got to always be trying to find the next thing to push yourself to the next level. And honestly, that's the thing I've struggled with lately, and that's why I wanted to watch this again to kind of remind myself of, where I was at back then, and all the things that I was able to accomplish and do after that, and to think about, okay, where could I go next? What other things could I do to really push myself to go to the next level? That's what I always want to be doing. And it all started with this movie. So I honestly, seriously, if Kevin Nolan or anybody in this movie sees this, Joshua Jackson, if you happen to see this video, and it is possible, Barry J. Gillis found our review. So if any of you that were involved in making this movie see this, I want to say thank you very much. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's not just important to me. I think it's a fantastic movie. The characters are great. The acting is great. I mean, it was shot on location in Spain. It's beautiful. It's interesting. Like the Americano bar is so weird, and they take absinthe at one point. They've got their mini running with the bulls, where they have dwarves being chased by pit bulls, like and then they go to a little village where Adela lives in, and it's absolutely it's the most picturesque of Spanish towns, and I've walked through many towns that are very much like this. The cobblestone streets and the stone walls, the big church in the middle, people out and about walking around, talking. It'll make you want to go to Spain, and you should. if this Corona nonsense ever ends, go to Spain. I actually was thinking about walking the Camino again this year, and of course, all this madness has happened and is continuing to happen. It seems like there's no end in sight. Um, but if you're into travel stuff, and or maybe you might want to be, maybe you're scared of travel and you're scared of getting out and putting yourself out in these kind of vulnerable situations, maybe this movie could inspire you a little bit to do that. So I want to encourage everybody to check this out. Beyond anything I have ever recommended, watch this movie.